Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for gathering with us this morning. I know a lot of us are experiencing some extremes in weather. So, whether you are experiencing heat or heavy rains, I hope this finds you well and safe. We celebrate today the 17th Sunday in Ordinary Time, reading from the Gospel according to John. Jesus went across the Sea of Galilee. A large crowd followed him because they saw the signs he was performing on the sick. Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat down with his disciples. The Jewish feast of Passover was near. When Jesus raised his eyes and saw that a large crowd was coming to him, he said to Philip, "Where can we buy enough food for them to eat?" He said this to test him because he knew himself what he was going to do. Philip answered him, 200 days' wages worth of food would not be enough for each of them to have a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, the brother of Simon Peter, said to him, "There is a boy here who have 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, but what good are these for so many?" Jesus said, "Have the people recline." Now there was a great deal of grass in that place, so the men reclined, about 5,000 in number. Then Jesus took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed them to those who were reclining, and also as much of the fish as they wanted. When they had had their fill, he said to his disciples, "Gather the fragments left over, so that nothing will be wasted." So they collected them and filled 12 wicker baskets with fragments from the 5 barley loaves that had been more than they could eat. When the people saw the sign he had done, they said, "This is truly the prophet, the one who is to come into the world." Since Jesus knew that they were going to come and carry him off to make him king, he withdrew again to the mountain alone. The Gospel of the Lord. I've only been to New York City once in my life. You would think, given what kind of foodies Ginger, my wife, and I are, that we would relish visiting any of that city's top chef restaurants. But my only dining experience there didn't go very well. In fact, it was rather embarrassing. At that point in my life, I had no real experience of high-end dining. So when I entered this restaurant in New York, I didn't notice the signs saying a proper dress code. Men must have jackets. I didn't have a jacket. I was pulled aside immediately and informed of the error of my ways. Apparently, they keep a supply of jackets just for such an occasion. What I was given was a jacket about 2 sizes too big and a color that rivaled a rainbow. Needless to say, I didn't enjoy the meal. I don't even remember what we ate. All I remember is feeling the eyes of everyone in the restaurant drilling me into the back. It was embarrassing. I felt like the proverbial country boy visiting the big city for the first time. And all because I wasn't prepared. We hear in today's gospel the miracle of the multiplication of the loaves and fishes. The crowd's been following and listening to Jesus all day, in the heat and the dust. And it's only in the evening that the disciples tell him, "We are far away from any town, and the crowd is hungry." 5,000 people, men at least, not even including women and children. What should we do? All we have is 5 loaves and 2 fish. And Jesus, in his infinite compassion, blesses and miraculously feeds the whole crowd. It's a miracle story that's quite familiar to all of us, but there are a few twists in this story. This is one of only 3 stories that all 4 Gospels have in common. The others, the curing of the blind man and Jesus' resurrection. But John adds a few more details that aren't in the other 3 Gospels. First, the loaves that are shared are barley loaves, not wheat loaves. Barley at that time was easy to grow and could be used in multiple ways. You could make stews, soups, bread. You could make beverages like beer, and it was also used as fodder for the animals. It was a staple food, but it was considered less than wheat. For that reason, it was the grain of the poor. It was the food of the common people. 2, Jesus is the one who distributes the bread and the fish to the people in this gospel, not the disciples. Jesus walking among the people, and each of them having that personal experience of Jesus handing them their meal. And third, a crowd of 5,000 people, and yet only one person out of that huge crowd has thought to bring some food with him. One little boy brings along 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. I keep getting this image of him being the original Boy Scout. He came prepared, while everyone else just seemed to blank out about worrying about food. While the people came relatively prepared to hear Jesus speak, they were completely unprepared for a long day without food, or for the miracle that was about to take place. It's obviously a clear connection with the Eucharist. In fact, this gospel story is often used to celebrate the feast of Corpus Christi, the feast of Jesus' body and blood. So what does this say to us? First of all, the Eucharist is food for the soul. All of our souls, not just the mighty and the powerful, not just those who can afford it, like wheat, affording wheat instead of barley, but rich and poor alike, healthy and sick, saints and sinners. The Eucharist is for all of us. Second, we need to remind ourselves of this great gift. Jesus is giving us his body and blood in the Eucharist. It's not just a symbol or a memory, it's his real presence. For over a year, we have all been without that wonderful gift, that personal and spiritual experience of the divine. Like the 5,000, we come to Mass to hear the Word of God. And then the miracle of transubstantiation takes place, and we receive not a simple piece of bread or fish, but the gift of spiritual food, Jesus' body and blood. And third, like that little boy, are we ready? Are we prepared to receive the body and blood? Consider the many months that we really were without the opportunity to receive communion. Has that made us more hungry for the Lord? Has it made us appreciate all the more such an awesome gift that the Lord has given us? Do we now approach the altar at communion with joy and reverence, with a feeling of great anticipation and excitement? Have we come like that little boy, prepared to feast at the table of the Lord? Those 5,000 people came to the mountain to hear the word of God. They went away with food for the journey. Like them, we all come together as a Christian community to hear the Word of God and to receive the Eucharist, food for our spiritual journey. Are we ready? Are we prepared? God bless. Take care.